So, how did we get into this predicament?
I bought this ticket. I have 3 hours to view Pittsburgh. Actually, we should take a look at Pittsburgh. We're in Pittsburgh for the StokerCon convention. We're having a good time, and now we're going to the top of a mountain. Is it Mount Washington?
Yes, Mount Washington.
Mount Washington. So it's our first time. So, what do you think so far?
I think I hope the machinery doesn't fail.
Yeah. We seem to be going high at a very steep rate, but
Yes.
well worth $2 and whatever I spent on this.
Well, it's much better than having to sort of claw our way up the mountain by hand.
Yes.
Yeah.
After standing for nine hours in the convention hall, my feet are sore, my knees are giving. So this is a nice ride up.
Yes. Very leisurely, very relaxing. Very much approve this situation.
And a special thanks to Max, who's behind the camera and has been helping all weekend long. Round of applause for Max. Hi, Michael. There we go. And to my wife, Martha, who's hiding behind the other side, taking in the view. As the four of us go up this gondola of loveliness in beautiful downtown Pittsburgh. Tomorrow will be our last day. We get 2 hours to sell what's left of our books. It's been a great weekend. Met piles of authors. Did lots of sales, lots of trades, and I think we stalled our rear. Oh, we have arrived. So Max, why don't we show the viewers the beautiful Pittsburgh, and we'll see you at the top. This is the Postmortem Report, live from Pittsburgh at StokerCon.
It's time for the Postmortem Report with your hosts Ronald McGilvray and Michael Schotter. Each month, these sultans of speculative fiction take a break from bending reality to ask one burning question. What cool stuff got buried in the social media graveyard while people were busy yelling at each other? Well, there's only one way to find out, so let's dig into it. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Postmortem Report. I'm your co-host, Michael Schotter.
And I'm Ronald McGilvray. Welcome to episode 14 and part 2 of our StokerCon episodes. Extravaganza.
Ooh, that's just a confetti moment you gave me right there, you realize.
There you go.
Confetti flying all over the screen now.
Perfect.
So, speaking of things to celebrate, we survived our ride up the incline. What did you think of that?
Very exciting.
Yeah. Did you get startled a little when the chain kind of jerked a little bit?
Well, I couldn't see because my eyes were closed the whole time and I was holding on to that railing.
Oh, yeah. That's a legit first timer move for sure.
Yeah. It was so high. It was so high.
Yeah.
Just like all the other hills in Pittsburgh.
Yes. Well, that hill is especially high. That is a legit mountain. Yes. Yeah. Mount Washington.
I kept my ticket. I have my ticket in my memory box. I was going through my stuff and I thought, oh, there's the ticket. I knew I had it somewhere. So I went downstairs and I have this wooden memory box and I opened it up and I dropped it in.
Nice.
So in 20 years, if I'm still alive, when I open it up, I'll what was this?
Oh yeah, that's where I almost died on that crazy mountain ride.
Yeah. But it sure led to some nice views.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've got a few of those we'll definitely show off here throughout the episode. There's some fun stuff we got when we were recording up on the mountain, showing off some of the city in its full glory. So yes, very cool.
And we should apologize and thank that elderly couple that we shoved in the corner on there while we were shooting. They sat there terrified while we were shooting our show. They were trembling the whole way up.
Yeah, I mean, I think they were a little bit excited though, because clearly, clearly we were like famous people doing famous
Yeah.
people stuff, right? So
Yeah.
they were like a
Yeah.
little bit enamored with it.
Yeah.
You know, beyond the fear. It was a little column A, a little column B. Yeah.
But overall, a good time, a nice ride.
Yeah,
Very
good times.
leisurely.
Yeah. And once again, shout out to Max for his stellar camera work on that spot, because obviously he was our cameraman in that scenario, making that happen. But yeah, that was a fun journey that we had up the hill.
Yeah, a nice day.
Yep. But you know, speaking of journeys, one thing we didn't talk about in the last episode is how you made it home from StokerCon. You wanna let the people know about your adventures after Pittsburgh?
Sure, it was carting all my loot from StokerCon from one place to another, and then crossing a border. But after we left, the first hotel to the second hotel where we actually shot the last episode, I had to load everything back up into the car, and then we headed off to Syracuse, because sort of we picked out like a halfway point on our homeward bound trip, and we wanted to go there because when I was growing up, I was a big Syracuse Orangemen fan. You know, we went to see a few basketball games. But it was, I don't know. I didn't remember it being such a pretty campus. But it was probably because we were always getting there late, and it was always by bus, like these sort of group party buses. So I was probably already half in the bag when we got there. But this time we walked around, took some pictures of the campus, and I was like, wow, what a gorgeous campus.
Yeah, they seem to have a lot of nice green spaces and stuff from what I saw.
Buildings are so varied. You know, they have one real Gothic looking building, and but anyways, we walked around. It was very nice. The hotel we stayed at was very nice. We actually had dinner at Dinosaur Barbecue, which is really fun. I'd heard it was this famous barbecue place, you know, almost as authentic as a Southern barbecue place in the States. And I can't say if it was or not, but it was very good.
Yeah.
We'd actually been to one before, but it was in Rochester when my son was younger and he was playing a soccer tournament. We had to drive down for the soccer tournament. So Syracuse was the original.
Oh, nice.
Dinosaur Barbecue. So we went there, and we had a nice dinner, and then we just kind of did some more walking.
Yeah.
Was
so is the
nice.
Dinosaur thing like a motif or whatever? Like, do they try to play that up in any way, or is it just that like it's like you're eating a dinosaur because there's so much meat, or what's?
I'm not sure what the origins of the name is.
Nice.
There's
I didn't know if you like walked in and there was like a taxidermy T-Rex over the door or something like that.
Yeah,
Like
I don't recall that. No, I mean there's graphics and stuff of dinosaurs around, but
legit.
It was not. Do you want the Brontosaurus ribs, or do you want the T-Rex T-bone, or it wasn't nothing like that.
Yeah, nice.
But service was really great. They're all really friendly there, and the food was really good. It was pretty well what I remembered it when I was at Rochester, except this was the original. So I got to go to the original Dinosaur Barbecue. So it was really, really good.
Nice.
And then sadly, we woke up the next day, and it was time to continue our march home. So we got to the border, and there was a bunch of lines. And when you're driving towards it, you're going, okay, which line should we get in? Which line you think is going to go quicker? Well, we did not pick the correct line. Now, mind you, none of them were really moving fast, because when we got there were all these real sketchy looking panel vans that were about in the middle of the line. I thought, oh, they're going to be there forever. Sure enough, as soon as the first van got there, it seemed like it was 2 hours before he even got to go through. And I was just like, I thought they were going to pull it apart, search it. Just looked so sketchy, but they got through, and then it kind of went. So it wasn't totally horrendous. And then when we got over to the other side, we stopped at a rest place because it had Tim Hortons. Because
nice.
there was only Dunkin' Donuts, which are really good, but we were home, wanted to make it a point that we're home, so we stopped at Tim Hortons.
Yes.
So Martha
Reestablish your Canadian credentials.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So she got a Tim coffee, and of course I got more donuts. And
Nice.
in the car we went, and away we went home. The rest of the drive was really smooth. But it's funny when you get into Ottawa, it's like from the Warriors. Every time I'm away, I come home, it's like, when the Warriors get back to Coney Island, and they're like,
yeah,
when we see the ocean, we feel that we're home, and that's what it's like. When I see the big sign, it's like Ottawa, and you cross that, and we're like, we did it. We made it home. We're like the
Nice.
Warriors. Our gang made it back home. Exactly.
Excellent.
So, but overall, it was a great stay. It was, I was happy to be home in my own bed, but
nobody on your front porch, like clinking bottles together,
No,
Yeah,
except the visa guy.
Ah.
He was there going, "Your visa's here. We've been waiting for you." And we converted all the American to Canadian, so it's triple what you thought. But
nice.
So
excellent.
Overall, it was fine. So got home safe and sound. Now all I have is just my memories.
Yeah.
And my shirt.
Oh yes, yes. We should show off our
shirt.
Yeah, look at that.
I remembered to wear it just for this episode.
Excellent.
Yeah. And then, of course, when I got it, I remember when I got the loot bag and they were saying, "What size do you want?" And I was thinking, don't make a mistake, Ron. So, they say, go big or go home. So that's what I did. I said, give me your biggest. So I tried it on. And I was thinking, because I couldn't remember if I tried it on before. And I said, I'm pretty sure I did it fit, but I wasn't absolutely positive. But I put it on, fit like a gloves. Perfect fit.
Excellent. Because you never know with t-shirts, right? Depending on what they're made out of, you can get significant shrinkage after that first wash, and that's where you can really get burned sometimes if you go on the small side. This one seems about the same as it was when I first got it. I don't think it shrunk too much in the wash. But
with t-shirts, your mileage may vary.
Yes. Cotton versus blend versus poly. Yeah. This is the sort of riveting information that people come to the postmortem report, like t-shirt construction analysis.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, it's too bad if you didn't make it a Stoker Con, because these are actually well put together shirts. They actually feel good. Some of them are like really itchy, but this one's actually got a really nice feel to it. So I'm happy with my Stoker Con shirt.
I concur. Yes. Very nice shirt. For true. But speaking of StokerCon, we kind of teased and promised in that last episode that we were going to talk more about, the encounters that we had and all the cool people and stuff that we met while we were there. And actually, we've got quite a few of those to share with all of you folks. So I think it's time to buckle up and do some dealer's room StokerCon adventures. You ready for this?
So go get your popcorn now.
Yes. We're going to be here for a minute.
And your beverage of choice.
Well, let's get things started with some spotlights, which is sort of a bit of a tease for some of the things we're going to be doing in future episodes when our new season officially starts. So we're going to be making it a point to call out specific authors and help get their work onto other people's radar. And we're kind of prototyping that a little bit with some of these segments in this show. So let's start things off with something pretty cool that happened right at the beginning of the day on our big main day in the dealer's room, which was we had a very special visitor to our table, Mr. Brian Keene.
Yes, that was very exciting. He was nice enough to come by the booth, take a picture with us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's we kind of joked a little bit in the last episode about competing with him for like partying hard at the convention. I don't think there was actually really any competition there. I think Brian pretty much trounced us completely. But yeah, that was really cool getting to meet him and interact with him in person. Obviously, I've seen him a ton on social media over the years, and I think we kind of liked each other's stuff here and there, like randomly on occasion. But yeah, to actually get to meet him and see him and have him come over and take the picture and stuff was very cool.
Yeah. Well, he's such an icon. And then, like, I mean, I remember back in the Shockline days, it was, trying to say, I was going to say, he's been around forever. But of course, who wants to hear that? Mind you, I was around the Shockline days. So, I've been around forever.
Yeah, you're incriminating yourself just as much as him, right?
Yeah. But I mean, he was very busy with the Scares That Care, the table. He had the auction going.
Yeah, that was a cool charity auction thing that they were doing there. Yep.
Yeah. So don't forget to put a donation in for not you specifically, Michael. Of course, you can, but for everyone that's watching, Scares That Care is great cause. So help out.
Always a good thing to support for sure.
I chipped in a little bit, but for him to, with all the stuff he had going on, to take the time to come to our table was very nice.
Mm-hmm.
So
absolutely,
thumbs up for Brian Keane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And thanks for going home with one of my books.
Yeah. I think I slid one in there too at a certain point, because I was like, well, you know what? If you're going to come and hang out with us, I can at least hook you up.
Yeah. So very nice.
So yeah. So that was kind of how things got started that day, which was very cool. And then we had some other interesting encounters. We had one of our table buddies, I guess you would say. We had people who were kind of on either side of us, right? Because we're kind of in the corner of the dealer's room is where our setup was. So then we had people on our right who was Regina St. Clair. I believe her table had a name, like a fancy name, like Regina's Haunted Library or something like that.
Yep. Well, she's the author of Code Red.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she had the table if we're facing out, it was to our right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you were kind of in the position to interact with them more because you were kind of like between me and them. Yeah.
Her and her partner were there. Sometimes she had to go away for different panels, and I was talking to him for quite a bit. And he was a big hockey fan.
Nice.
I forget what team he said he liked. I guess it's probably, guys, I think they were from Philadelphia, if I remember correctly.
Oh, is it the Flyers?
So probably a Flyers fan.
Yeah,
but yeah. I cannot be sure. So if he's not, I apologize.
I'll forgive him if he is, and if he isn't, that's cool too.
So yeah, they were great neighbors, and if you're looking for some books by Miss St. Clair, check out Code Red.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, very cool. So then you had a sort of random encounter as you were walking around. I think you grabbed somebody as you were just kind of milling around the dealer's room, and then we had them stop by. So you want to talk a little bit about that?
Are we talking about Joe?
Yeah.
Joe Scipione. He, the author of The Life and Times of Edward Morgan. I wanted that book, so I'd actually reached out to him even before StokerCon to let him know that I wanted the book, because my big fear is being in the dealer's room. There are a lot of authors that there was the mass signing, and I would have liked to go to the mass signing, but the hours were really conducive for us, and so I wanted to make sure that some of the authors that I definitely wanted a book, that either all the books weren't going to be gone, or to make sure that they were actually bringing some books. So there were a bunch of authors that did. And Joe was nice enough to remember. He brought, the copy of the book for me. And very exciting. So I'd only ever talked to him online. So to meet a lot of these authors was so much fun too, to actually press the flesh, and say hi and tell them that, you enjoyed their work, and, just get to meet them for in real life.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely a big part of the event for me as well. Just, getting to see people in person who you have only, as you say, interacted with online for the most part. That was definitely very cool. And I would say that's what really most of these encounters were like for us, right? It was just that opportunity to take some of those, relationships, for lack of a better term, to the next level, kind of. So that was kind of neat.
Well, it just shows how nice the community is too, because these people didn't have to, bring the book, or, they could have been, blew you off kind of thing. So, the ones that, you spoke to and they actually did, the salt of the earth.
Well, I think you had a really high batting average, right? Like just about everybody that you tried to interact with, or we had any kind of dealings with or interactions with, was just like, as you say, super nice, super accommodating, super cool. So
all very nice.
Yeah, it's speaks very well of the horror writing community at large. I think just how cool that whole event was, just from pretty much every standpoint, right? Like I don't recall, in any of the time that we were there, really seeing any kind of incidents or trouble or problems, or anybody giving anybody a hard time or anything like that. It was just like a really nice, pleasant, thing to participate in, as far as I could tell.
From our dealer's room table.
Yeah, I mean, now granted, we were a little bit trapped in the corner of the dealer's room for most of the time we were there, but I mean, I also, because people would come up to the table and we'd ask them, how's it going? What are you doing? What panels you going to? All that sort of thing, and everybody always seemed to have really positive things to say, right? Like nobody was all like, I'm having a terrible time. Nothing was how I wanted it to be. It was all very, very cool.
And everybody seemed to have their loot bags full of books and stuff. So it was, it's good.
But to kind of pause the dealer's room activity for a minute, we kind of wanted to break that up a little bit with some of the stuff that we didn't get to talk about as far as our Pittsburgh adventures went. And so there was a bunch of stuff that we did on the first day before the convention actually started, because we had some time when we first got together to kill before we were actually able to go in and set up in the dealer's room. And so I took Mr. McGilvray and his lovely wife around the city a little bit that first morning, and we went to a place that is sort of a legend in Pittsburgh, which is Pamela's Diner.
Biggest crepes ever.
Yeah.
Biggest crepes ever. I couldn't finish them, and I can finish anything. I mean, they kicked us out of that all-you-can-eat beef place. But this one, big ass crepes, very tasty.
Yeah, I was kind of like a little bit concerned when you ordered them, because I felt like I had seen them previously, and I'm like, I think those things are pretty big, but I'm not going to say anything because I'm not sure. And then the plate showed up, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah. Well, when he asked, he was like, do you want the regular? And it was like 2 crepes. Or do you want the triple stack? And I guess the way he said it, or do you want the triple stack? I thought, I should have probably picked up on it, but I thought, well, crepes are so thin.
Yeah.
I'm like, and we're doing a lot of walking again that day. So I was like, 2 crepes aren't going to get me through the day. So I want the triple stack. Well, that was a mistake. Well, it wasn't a mistake. It was tasty. I couldn't even finish it though.
Yeah. Yeah, I think everybody really enjoyed their breakfast, and that is
Yeah.
definitely a place that I've been to a few times and would continue to highly recommend if you are in the Pittsburgh area seeking a breakfast scenario. Pamela's Diner in the Strip, big old thumbs up
Yes.
for that place.
Big thumbs up. Yeah, it was very tasty. Good way to start your day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you want to do that every day.
Yeah, probably not. Probably that'd be a bit much every
Yeah.
day, especially if
Unless
you went
you're
for some
running.
of the bigger things. But
Yeah.
I mean, they have plenty of nice, small, reasonably sized, menu items as well. But
Yeah.
us being us, we kind of went hard
Yeah.
in the paint
Exactly.
as we typically do.
Very tasty.
Yeah. But so we'll continue that adventure in a little while. But let's ease back into the dealer's room and talk a little bit about our first noteworthy encounter, is what we're calling these. So a few things happened while we were in the dealer's room that we thought were just kind of interesting or fun or just a little bit unusual. And this first one was kind of cool. So there was an author there who was attending their very first StokerCon and had just sold their very first story. And that was all super cool and very fun. And we even got a photo with them to sort of celebrate all that. But then we kind of ran into a bit of a problem, which is when we went on social media to look for this person, he's nowhere to be found.
Like the ghost of StokerCon. But I was
Yes.
pretty sure his name was Elijah. Almost positive.
I believe you are correct about that. I'm fairly certain that was his first name. But when I know you had a little note, right, at one point, and you had actually you had his name at one point, and you went and tried to look him up and couldn't find him anywhere. So this is our pro tip to all of you out there, all of you aspiring authors and whatnot who are looking to get shout outs and what have you on social media. Be on social media.
Yeah.
So you can be found.
Yeah.
And we will also throw it out here. If you have seen this person and you know precisely who they are, or even better, if you are the person in this picture and you would like to make a comment on this video and let everybody know who you actually are, then feel free to do that. But that was a fun little thing where we kind of realized after the fact that we couldn't actually find anything about them online to plug or give a shout out to. So wanted this guy.
Possibly Elijah.
Yes,
but
possibly Elijah.
And he has like a nephew, because he bought James' Journey to Dreamland.
Oh yes.
And he wanted it inscribed to his nephew. I'm sure it was his nephew. I don't think it was his brother.
Mm-hmm.
But,
well, given the sort of book that it is, that would definitely make sense. Yeah. And I believe that was how that whole conversation even got going, right? Was that he had brought up his nephew. See, it's funny because I remember a lot about this conversation, but for whatever reason, his name did not completely stick in my head. And you lost your note. So
well, I looked everywhere for it, and then I couldn't find him anywhere on social media. And I thought, well, guess I don't need the note anymore.
Yeah.
But it was fun. I mean, he seemed to be, we were talking about, everyone seemed to be having a good time. It was his first StokerCon, and he was out there pressing the flesh, meeting people. He seemed to be having a really good time, sold his first story. Mm-hmm. I wish I could, I don't know if he actually told us who it was, but anyways, if you're out there, let us know who you are.
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming by the booth and talking to us and picking up, James' Journey, and wish you many more successful sales.
Yeah, hopefully that is just the beginning of a lot of success, and then by that time we'll all know who that is, because they'll blow up and be all over the place.
That's right.
So there you have
Elijah King.
Yeah, but we knew you when, or we kind of knew you when. Obviously,
don't forget us.
Yeah. All right, so Yeah, as you can see, these are going to be fun. So look forward to the next one of those coming up here shortly. But moving back to the spotlights, let's talk a little bit about something that you acquired, which was very, very cool. Who did you get to see and get stuff from?
Well, so many people, but right now we're going to be talking about Michelle River from Erie River Publishing.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to talk with her.
We absolutely have to thank her for doing our intro bit for last episode. She was kind enough to come and record with us for that little intro that you saw at the beginning of episode 12.
Yep. Very nice.
Or sorry, 13. 13.
Fellow Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
So, shout out, to another fine Canadian representing there at StokerCon. Mm-hmm. And if you haven't checked out any books from Erie River, there's no better time than now.
Nice. Yes, we'll throw a couple of those up here so you get to see some of the other ones you didn't get to see in the intro last time.
Yeah. So big shout out to Michelle for dropping by.
Mm-hmm. And then both you and Max got to meet and hang out with and get some stuff from our next spotlight victim, Lynn Hanson.
Lynn Hanson, yes. Yeah, and I managed to actually I have 4 prints I got from her. Most of them, well, I'd say 3/4 of them were dealing with crows, which is a big thing for me because there's crows in all my stories and on my cover for Tales from the Parkland. And then one cool one with a typewriter, with a hand writing it. Actually, I'm looking at them right now. They're all up on my wall.
Excellent. Maybe you can snap a picture of those and we can pop that on the screen for people to check out.
Yes, I will do that.
Excellent.
I'm looking at them right now. Too bad you weren't here to admire them with me.
Yes.
Yeah, well, Lynn had some amazing things there. I mean, there was clothing, there were prints. She had medallion stickers.
Her setup was very cool and also very busy. It seemed like there was just a ton of people there all the time. Every time I looked over at it, it was just swarming with people. Yeah.
Well, who doesn't like Lynn stuff?
Yeah.
Some brisk trade there.
Yeah. So again, very cool to meet her in person. Obviously, very cool of her to come over and take a picture with us and whatnot. So definitely good times. It was definitely when I was looking at the dealer's room list, before we actually went to the convention, I was kind of looking for people who I recognized or, people we had talked about on the show previously and stuff like that. I was real excited to see her name on the dealer's room list ahead of time. So you kind of knew we were going to get to see her. So yes, very cool. But for our third little spotlight here, let's talk about somebody else you got a book from, I believe.
Yes. The Rules of the Road by C.B. Jones. Another book that I'd wanted for a while. So I was lucky to, get a copy. And he was nice enough to, come by our booth. I don't know why I keep calling it a booth. It wasn't really a booth at all. It's kind of a table.
It was a booth if the booth didn't have walls.
Yeah. We're like a wall-less booth.
Yeah.
But, he was gracious enough to drop by, sign a book. Chat for a while. So I was pretty excited to get the Rules of the Road. So any of you out there who don't have a copy, you should get one. It won't be as cool as my copy, but still worthwhile getting.
Few things are as cool as Ron's copies of things. He kind of makes sure that his library is very on point. So hard to compete with that.
Yeah. So big thanks to CB Jones for dropping by, saying hi, spending some time. Thanks for the visit.
Excellent. Yeah. So that is going to lead us into yet more Pittsburgh stuff, because once we finished our gorging at Pamela's and we made our way back down through the heart of the city, we took a little stop and a little detour at a place that was very much a big deal, especially when I was a young man and I was still very much into collecting things and like physical media and stuff like that, which is this pretty big store on Penn Avenue in downtown Pittsburgh called Ides Entertainment, which is kind of like Mecca for music and movie and collectible enthusiasts around the city. And I was actually really surprised to see that they're still around and kicking and still have just as much stuff as ever, like spread across multiple floors of a big old building. What'd you think of that place?
It was cool. I mean, they had a lot of interesting, the figurines, but I mean, I'd already had so much stuff, but I was looking for something in particular because I don't know why, but I was going, I thought, I wonder if they have a creature from the Black Lagoon, and I was looking for that, but I did not see one. And I mean, I'd already dropped boatload of money into the American economy, trying to help everyone out, and well over my budget. And I looked at some of the, figurines and stuff they had, but God, they're expensive. Not just this place, but I'm just saying in general.
In general,
same here.
Collectibles have definitely become a thing. Yes.
Yeah, it's. I was like, holy cow! It was a Frankenstein for like $250 American. So I was like, yeah.
Well, I think the thing about Ides too is they really tend to specialize in really obscure, really hard to find things, right? So most of the things you're going to find there, especially at this point, are going to be more on like the high end side of the collectibles market, right? It's the things that like, they are really hard to track down or really hard to come by. And I think that's partially because they have such a huge inventory at this point that they don't really stock anything or really take on anything that they don't really want to have, on display or whatever, because, they've only got so much space and they've already got so much stuff that they're getting like pickier and pickier, I think, as years go by about what they actually bring in.
And they had a lot of cool stuff, especially in the back. They had some stuff, but some of that was even more expensive than the other stuff. But there was some stuff that was really cool.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So if you're looking for that like really cool, really obscure collectible or music or movie or like something that's just really tough to track down, that is a spot I would definitely still highly recommend in the Pittsburgh area. And I feel like especially like a lot of people from the newer generations maybe aren't as familiar with Ides, even around the city, because I feel like its heyday was really like, back maybe like 20, 30 years ago is when I used to go there all the time. But that's still having just been there recently now, I can say that's still a good spot for like tracking down really super rare stuff, I would think.
It would be a place that if I wasn't doing a book convention and getting a pile of books, which is what I was centered on, it would be a destination place to go if I was visiting Pittsburgh and I thought, well, okay, I want to grab some collectibles while I'm here.
It
would be a place to go.
And them being like conveniently located next to the convention center probably helps a lot, right? Because a lot of people probably come into town for stuff that's happening at the big convention center, and then you're just right around the corner basically to hop over there. So it's a pretty sweet location they have. But
cool visit.
That was a cool, fun little detour, and actually not something that we had planned to do or were necessarily expecting to do. We just happened to be walking right by it on the way from Pamela's to get back to the con. So it was a nice little extra little bonus thing we got to do, which I think is why we probably forgot to mention it last time.
I think we actually passed it, and I think we'd walked past it, and it was just I thought, I want to check it out. I think everyone was kind of surprised. Really? I want to go in? I said, yeah, let's go in because you guys have been talking about it. So because we walked by,
well, because
it
we
was so
saw
last
it on
minute.
on the opposite side of the street because we went up on the east
Okay,
side of the street on the way up to Pamela's, and then when we came back, we were actually on the correct side of the street to go
right.
in. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's how that
So,
worked out, I think.
so I can say I've been there.
Yeah, yeah, you have been to Ides. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, well, speaking of noteworthy encounters,
Another one?
we're up to our next one of this, and I know you're pretty excited to talk about this one. So we have mentioned this person on the show more than once, and I think Ron just about had palpitations whenever this was occurring. You want to
Well,
tell us who you got to meet?
well, it was kind of unexpected
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't know. I know I knew he was coming, but it wasn't at the last minute. But we were in there, and we hadn't even been there that long that day, I don't think. And then in walked Joe Lansdell, and I was like, "Well, I'm definitely going to reach out for Joe and say hi." So and
I
see if
remember
he'll.
you kind of
Yeah,
leaned over to Max.
yeah,
It was just like, I'm, be ready with the camera just in
yeah,
case.
yeah.
And
If Joe
he was,
tries to run away,
yeah,
start snapping.
yeah,
But
yeah,
he was
yeah.
once again, like everybody else, very gracious. He stopped by the booth, took a picture with us, chatted for a bit. Uh,
Hmm.
really great guy.
Yep.
His book, The Donut Legion, is
Hmm.
out. Everyone should be getting a copy of that.
Yeah, I figured we'd
Yeah,
talk about that one since we've obviously talked about the drive-in and
yeah,
other things of his several times on the show before. So I figured we'd shout out the new one of the newer ones.
yeah.
Yeah.
If he had a bunch of them, I would have been like, I want a signed copy. But
Hmm.
he was going pretty light. I
Yeah.
think he might have had the loot bag, but if I remember correctly, he had just gotten
Hmm.
into
Yeah, I know
Pittsburgh
you guys actually talked
that
for a
day.
minute because I overheard a little bit of that. I was not eavesdropping necessarily, but I
Yeah.
mean I was right there, so I kind of heard a little bit of that conversation, and I actually was I thought that was interesting that you guys had actually met previously, right, at one point,
Oh, at
because you
a
were,
Stoker Con in
at your previous
Canada.
Stoker Con, right? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. We
yeah,
both had films showing at that one.
yeah, nice.
So
Yeah.
yeah, we were talking. It was a funny little story, but you had to be
Hmm.
there.
Yeah, you had to be there. Yeah, we
Yeah,
will. Yeah, but
bore you with my story, but it was
yeah.
great for him to take the time because I know he had a busy schedule just coming in and stuff. So to take the time to take a picture with us and
Hmm.
chat was very nice.
Yeah, very cool.
So
So
if you're not a Joe Lansdell fan, you should be.
yeah, nice. Absolutely. But that will lead us, I think, into another set of spotlights. And this is another person that you got to spend quite a bit of time talking to. And I know you've had a few conversations with even before StokerCon, right? Because didn't you get to see Tim McGregor when you were up
In Toronto, yeah,
in
at
Toronto,
Little
right?
Ghosts. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I
yeah,
thought so.
we were there. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was at StokerCon. Managed to grab his book, another one that I'd reached out to saying I want a signed copy. So make sure that you have a copy of Wasps in the Ice Cream
Hmm.
handy. So
Hmm.
it's funny you do it and you think, are they going to remember my note that I wanted copy? But he had
Hmm.
one, so I got
Yeah.
one. But we chatted. Well, I bumped into him several times throughout the weekend. But
Hmm.
Tim, another fellow Canadian,
Hmm.
we could have started a gang. It's like
Yeah.
Michelle, Tim, myself.
Yeah.
Uh, but I won't say any other names because they'll come up later. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, we
Yeah.
actually had a good contingent there.
Yeah. Good representation.
Yeah,
Good Great White North representation at
should have had
StokerCon
little
for
Canadian
sure.
flags or pins
Yeah.
or something. So we'd know
Yeah.
the secret Canadian code, which I can't actually show online because unless you're Canadian, you're not supposed to know what the secret code is.
Oh yeah. Can't have that. Can't have you getting into troubles.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tim, when he came to the table anyway, because you guys were there at the table talking for a while, he just, I think I overheard him mention just how like, just like wiped out he was. He just seemed kind of like exhausted from like doing a bunch of, stuff. And so I was just kind of letting you guys talk, but it was definitely cool to get to meet him and see him in person. So definitely
We had
cool.
lots on the go. So once again, super appreciative that he took the time to come by our Wallace booth and
Our Walrus booth, yes,
know,
not to be
give me that
confused
signed
with
copy.
Walrus booth, which is a
Yes.
different convention that we'll be attending later this year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna say something, but it dropped out of my head just like a bubble.
Sorry, I didn't mean to distract you with my bad Walrus booth joke.
So everybody should go out there, get your copy of Wasps and the Ice Cream.
Do it.
Do it now.
Do it. Nice. So a few other people are in this little grouping. You want to talk about your interaction with Mr. Nick Roberts?
Once again, drop by, author of The Exorcist House.
Which we've also
took the
talked
time.
about previously on the show.
Yeah. Drop by, gracious enough to take a picture with us. Spoke for a while. He don't know if I don't want to say a story if it wasn't actually true or not, but for some reason, if I remember correctly, Nick was actually there because his wife was going to the Taylor Swift concert.
Oh, is that him? I think you're right about that. I think I might have overheard that.
Yeah, because
apologies if we're incorrect about this, but I believe that is true.
I'm sure it must be because I would want a signed copy of The Exorcist House. And I'm sure the reason was because he wasn't actually doing anything. He had like a day pass.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I could be totally wrong because I drank through the whole weekend, but
nice.
I'm pretty sure that was it because I don't. Now, I did see a post by Nick the other day that he has some signed copies that you can get now. Because I remember I wrote a note for myself in my office, which you can partially see behind me. It's actually quite vast on the other side.
Yes, cavernous. I've seen it. It's quite cavernous. Yes.
Yeah, but so yeah, I wrote a note to check on that post. But yeah, that was one disappointment because I was thinking that was one book I'd wanted to get a signed copy of. But I can always work on that. But thanks to Nick for dropping by, spending some time with us. Taking the time to take a picture because I'm sure it was Nick going to the Taylor Swift because I know he was kind of busy on the move. So
yeah.
It's all coming to me. And if not, I'm sorry that I've tied you in with Taylor Swift.
I mean, there are worse people to be tied to.
There you
right?
go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And I mean,
nice
we talked about that a little bit in the previous episode, right? The fact that there were not one, but two Taylor Swift concerts happening while StokerCon was taking place. So that definitely made Pittsburgh a very interesting place to be for those couple of days with like all the different things that were going on. There was like a wedding happening in the hotel in addition to StokerCon. There was a lot happening those couple of days, that's for sure.
Swinging city.
So it's no wonder if we get our wires crossed a little bit with some of this stuff because there was no shortage of things happening like simultaneously all around us at any given moment. In fact, some of the funniest things that happened, which we actually don't have any pictures of, sadly, was like the instances where people from those other events would kind of wander into the dealer's room unexpectedly. Like there was a few times where like a bunch of Swifties would come in, kind of look around, like figure out that they were not in a Taylor Swift themed room and then just quietly back away or
Well, they
turn
spent a
and
lot of times in the public
yeah.
washrooms that were outside the doors from the dealer's room. You could see them coming and going.
Mm-hmm. I think we even had a few on Saturday night before the dealer's room closed. I think we even had a few like wedding patrons show up. Like, so I thought I saw a few people in like tuxedos and dresses and stuff zipping by and like poking their heads into the room, trying to figure out if that was where they were supposed to be.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, why not? So
chaos.
many cool things in the dealer's room. So,
yeah. Good times.
yep.
So there was one other person we wanted to throw into this batch of spotlights. You want to mention a little bit about Francesca?
Yeah, which a fellow dealer's room person. She was had her table as well. Francesca Maria. I got one of her books. They Hide: Short Stories to Tell in the Dark. Actually, every time if I was coming and going, I always ended up stopping by her booth and talking with her. She's very, very personable, very nice.
Love the cover on that book. It's a very
Yeah.
cool cover. It pops really nicely.
Yeah. So if you're looking for a cool short story collection, check out They Hide by Francesca Maria. We'll have a picture somewhere over here on the screen.
Yes.
But you won't know where because my fingers are magical and they could just stop anywhere.
Oh, you're gonna make me move the picture around, aren't you?
Eh.
Good times.
So, yeah, but she was fun to talk to, and I converse with her and see her all the time with on social media. So it was great to
very
speak
cool
with her.
So let's take another little pause and talk about one more Pittsburgh thing that I definitely wanted to squeeze in here because I thought it was really cool that on that first day when we did our little walking tour of the city and kind of was like acclimating you guys to it, we got to stop in one of my favorite places, which is PPG Plaza. One of the big like iconic skyscrapers in Pittsburgh is PPG Place, which is the Pittsburgh Plate Glass company, and their corporate headquarters is a pretty impressive, almost castle-like looking building that kind of forms this plaza area that you get to walk through and has a bunch of stores and little fun activities and things to do. There's a big old obelisk with like a fountain around it, and that particular setting and that particular location actually features very prominently in a couple of my books, and so it was very cool. We actually get to take a little picture here that I'll throw up on the screen of me kind of standing in the precise spot where one of the characters from my books ends up having a fateful experience, I will say. And so thanks to Ron for getting this pick for me. And what do you think of PPG Plaza?
It was cool. I'm not absolutely positive, but did it have Guy Fieri, that chicken place? Was that the same mall?
I don't recall seeing that. I know there's a Five Guys there. There's a bunch of different stuff there because like PPG Plaza is basically adjacent to Market Square, which is like the other big sort of hub in downtown that has like just a ton of restaurants and shops and stuff that sort of encircle the perimeter of it, and that sort of extends into PPG. But basically the big thing with PPG Plaza is of course the glass, right? Like the big like tinted glass skyscraper that's kind of like surrounding you as you kind of walk through it.
Well, that fountain thing or the centerpiece they have is cool.
Yeah, that's actually where this picture is from. Yeah, and you kind of get to see too like some of the cool lines that this building has because there's sort of like almost like archways or cathedral like lines above a lot of the doorways and stuff like that. It's got this almost like Emerald City kind of quality to it. I think is a term that people often use to describe it. I've also heard it referred to, but it's like Castle Grayskull
Yeah.
by visitors to the city. But it's definitely one of those places I feel like once you see it, it definitely sticks in your mind as like one of the sort of standout locations in Pittsburgh, right? It's kind of really striking when you see it compared to like, especially what's around it in the rest of the city. But definitely wanted to mention that because we didn't last time.
Yeah. And possibly the location of that chicken place by Guy Fieri.
Yes, I will leave it to you all to determine whether or not that's actually accurate. But I think if it's sticking in Ron's head that much, it's probably true.
It's because the only reason it even comes to mind is because we watched the series when my son came over one weekend to bring his laundry. And we were having dinner and we were watching, there was a series of one of his many series he has on the Food Network about people who are going to win one store in the franchise. And they were talking about it. And one of the locations was Pittsburgh. And I remember because it was Martha had said, hey, look, and for the life of me, I cannot remember what the place is called, but I was pretty sure it was there because we went over and we have a picture of it, I think.
Oh, okay. Is that what you guys were taking a picture of?
Yeah, because
okay.
she wanted a picture for her son. She wanted a picture
I didn't
of her
realize
son.
that was what that was. Yeah, because I was a little too far away from it, so I didn't connect those dots. Okay, now yes, that is PPG Plaza. That is where that happened. Now it's all coming together.
Yeah, so it was just kind of funny that she saw it. Well, we were busy because I was taking the pictures for you, and then we were talking, and then she wandered over to the side and I guess spotted it and was like, "Oh, okay, this is the show that you and Jamie watched." So we took a picture.
Yeah, maybe we can throw that picture up for context if you have it handy. I'll
see if Martha has it because I did it for her so she could send it to our son. But
yeah, okay, it's all coming together now, and now it all makes sense.
But needless to say, it's a place to go visit.
Yes, yeah. I would say there's probably a top 5 or top 10 list of places you should go look at if you're in downtown Pittsburgh. And I think PPG Plaza is probably right there on that, near the top of that list. I think that's a place you should visit if you're in downtown Pittsburgh. That's the main takeaway, I think, from this whole diversion.
Yeah. And the picture that I took of you there.
Yeah.
Tell everyone again, from what book is that?
So that scene is from 309. That's a very prominent scene at the very beginning of that book. And then also, if you're familiar with my novelette, Academic Displacement, which was in the book Shards, that scene is also featured in that story, but from a different perspective. So it's basically like the same event from 2 different people's perspectives takes place in that plaza.
There you go. Yeah. So download the picture, save it to your iPad or phone, go out and buy 309, and it'll be like you're actually part of it. An interactive book. It'll be like
you're right there. Yes.
And then when you're done 309, you can get Michael's new book, 500.
Oh, nice. Nice.
There you go.
I would not discourage you from doing any of those things. Nice.
Yeah. So, yeah, a worthwhile stay. Although I don't remember there being an ice cream stand. You know how I like my ice cream.
Yeah, you have to go around the corner for that.
Yeah.
Because that was over into Market Square and then down Forbes was that Millie's place that we talked about last episode. That was the nearest ice cream, as I recall.
No ice cream, but still worth a visit.
Yep. For true.
All righty.
So anyway, having explored that thoroughly, let's head back to the dealer's room and talk about our next noteworthy encounter, which this was a fun one because I think we kind of had a moment with this one where we were all kind of like, is that really who we think it is? So
Well, when he
Yeah,
first approached,
why don't you let people know who stopped to the Wallis booth?
yeah, well, John Langan dropped by,
Yeah.
and I was talking to him, and uh, once again, really nice guy. The author, of course, everyone knows The Fisherman.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I started talking to him, and it kind of threw me off because of course, I know who John Langan is, but because he's kind of a legend, and his pictures over social media, where I've ever only seen him or dealt with him, is on social media, and his pictures have kind of, evolved over the years. And I was thinking, well, I'm sure it's the same John Langan, but it ended up, after we started talking, it was. And but once again, I guess he was in the maybe the mass selling
Yeah, I think
group,
he
or
was doing a reading, wasn't he? Or
well, yeah, he was
yeah,
off to do that because he was
yeah.
on like panels and doing a reading, because
Mm-hmm.
I would have liked, of course, an autographed picture, an autographed book or a copy of The Fisherman. And but once again, he was really nice to talk to.
Yeah, he picked up one of
And
your books.
yeah,
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 that was pretty cool, right?
I was very touched by that. He grabbed a copy of Cutter's Deep. I really
Mm-hmm.
appreciated it. And then I guess I was sort of in awe, or kind of, I spent the time that I didn't grab Max and, take a picture of us, here.
Yeah, well, I
Um,
mean that just goes to show, right? Like any any opportunity to do anything like that is kind of contingent on not being sort of blown away by the fact that it's happening.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And he was nice. We were having a conversation, and it didn't even occur to me that time to ask him,
Yeah.
to do that. And then, of course, I was still stuck on the whole machine gizmo thing that we had, when someone's
Oh
getting a
yeah,
book.
because well, we were still that was very early in the day too, and we were
Yeah.
still kind of figuring out the logistics of like our payment system and all that
Yeah.
sort of thing. Yeah.
So then, after processing everything and doing everything, and having talked to him like an idiot,
Well, I
I
believe
let
he
him
was kind of in
go.
a hurry too. Like
Yeah,
he was kind of
had somewhere to go.
he did not linger. Yeah, he
Yeah,
definitely had. I believe he was on his way to doing that reading, if I recall
yeah,
correctly. But
yeah.
again, that
But
may not be entirely accurate. But
I kicked
that's my
myself
recollection.
to not having dragged him in front of our table and have
Yeah.
a picture with us. But you know, thanks, John. Great guy. Thanks for dropping by.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, showing, even the big writers take time to, talk to
Come and
everybody.
visit. Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
good
So
times.
if you don't have The Fisherman yet, once again, get out there, pick it up.
Mm-hmm. Get hooked.
There you go. There you go.
All right. So uh, moving back into our other spotlight section here, let's talk about.
I was
I was going to let you do it. I was going to
I
see
was
how
going to start to
long.
go. I was going to do that. Whatever. Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. But see, now I did it anyways. See, I
You
was going
did
to
it
say that, but I didn't want to
anyways.
do that because it was lame. But now I just did it, so it's
Yeah.
still lame.
And if you
But
think I'm
anyways,
editing that out, you are sorely mistaken.
yeah.
But yeah.
But I
So
think I know what you were talking about. I bet you were
well,
talking about. Oh, please go ahead if you're going to say something.
I was gonna let you say the name, but then you didn't say the name. So now
Well, I
I'm
wanted to
gonna
do my
have to say
singing.
the name.
Well, I'll say the name anyways.
Okay,
I
why
want to
don't you
hog
say
all the
the name?
time.
Yeah,
We had Andrew Sullivan drop by,
there you go.
author of The Marigold, which, once again, got a copy of. I reached out, begged him to have an extra copy for me so that I could get one. Another fellow Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So,
Very cool.
yep, yep. Took the time, came by a booth, took a picture with us.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
nice.
and I let you say Andrew's name because I really
Yeah.
wanted to say this next name.
Okay. Oh, so you tricked me.
It was all part of my cunning plan. Sorry,
I'm
my
going to say the
bad.
name anyways. And the next one up is. No, I wouldn't do
Oh,
that to you.
wow.
Ah,
Why are you gonna
I
cut me
should
like
have.
that? Why are you
That
gonna
would have
cut
been
me like
funny.
that, bro?
Yeah.
Anyway, this
Yeah.
is actually a fun one because we mentioned, or I mentioned this in the last episode, that one of the people I really wanted to talk to and get a book from was Brandon Applegate. And that a lot of that is because that's actually one of the first people we ever talked about here on the show. Because if you remember way back in episode 1 of the Postmortem Report, we talked about Don Tackett, that YouTuber, doing a reading of one of Brandon's stories, The Elevator. That was way back in episode 1. And ever since then, I wanted to track down the book that story was from and ideally get a signed copy of it, which I was able to do, as you know, because you watched last episode. But that is Those We Left Behind. And it was actually very cool because when he came over to the table, he actually brought 2 books. And so Ron got to double dip because I think you actually ended up with both of those books. You want to tell people what the other book was?
The first 5 minutes of the apocalypse.
Yes, which I believe is a collection or an anthology, right? That he actually put together, or
Yep.
had a hand in putting together, if I remember correctly.
Another actually cover that looked really cool.
Yes, absolutely. I was definitely coveting it, and I nearly stole it from you, but then you looked really sad, so I said you could have it.
Well, I mean, you pushed me down off my chair. I was lying on my back. I mean, obviously, I was sad.
Yeah, well, I was
also
kind of going to
bitter.
gloss over that part.
Yeah.
But
no,
it
was great to meet him in person.
Yeah, big shout out to Brandon. He was super cool. Very nice to come over and take the picture with us and stuff. And like I said, I got to go over and visit his booth and talk to him a little bit the following day. So it's just a cool little interaction to have for sure. But
he had his own table.
Yeah, he was there with a
Sort of-
Hungry Shadow Press, which I believe he is deeply affiliated with, if not like directly involved in. I don't know like all the details of that, but I know that's like a big connection there with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he was with Alex Ebenstein with Dreadstone Press, because I think they're at the same table.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember now. It's been almost a month.
Yeah, I know. We're really asking a lot of your long-term memory.
My aged faculties.
Yeah.
Because Brandon and Alex work the same table.
Yeah. Well, I think the other thing with Alex too is, if I remember correctly, he's also some way affiliated with a different press, Shortwave, I think, that does like other genre fiction. But I think this Dreadstone Press is the one that does the Split Scream series, which is actually the book that's featured in this picture.
Right, because that's the one with Patrick Barb and J.W. McCarthy.
Yeah, because that book actually is either just come out or is just about to come out at the time we're recording this. It's like July 25th, I think, is the release date for that one. Because that's the other thing that's a little bit confusing about some of the stuff that happened, is we were getting to see some of these books before their actual releases.
Yeah.
So yeah, that tends to complicate matters, and especially with us recording in advance of when the shows actually air, some of the timing of things gets a little tricky.
Yeah, because I think it was Split Scream. I thought it was
volume
3. Okay,
yes,
so it was volume 3.
That is true. Yes.
So you should go and check out volume 2 and 1 as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But it was cool, definitely getting to see both of them. And I want to say that their tables may have been next to each other, or they may have been at the same one. But
I think they were at the same one.
yeah, it's yeah. I
But
think you're
Alex
right
was a
about
great guy
that.
too. He came by, took a picture with us. So
Mhm.
kudos to them.
Yep. Good times.
Yep.
So speaking of Brandon, um,
Uh-huh.
another thing that he did, which was very cool, was he actually posted a picture of his StokerCon book haul, where I think he had books from both of us that he had gotten that were featured in that picture. And somebody else who did that was another one of our noteworthy encounters, who was Rebecca Webb, the author of I'm not, I know I'm gonna have trouble saying this, not because it's hard, because it's got two B's in it, and I always have trouble with two B's in a row, but I'm gonna try to make this happen. Burrows of Blood and Shadow. There we
Very
go.
good.
Yeah, I got it out. Yeah.
Very good.
But yeah, she stopped by, picked up a copy of one of my books, and I always think it's really cool, right? Like, and especially in an event like this where it's just jam packed with other authors. Anytime an author stops by and you get to interact with them and they take an interest in your stuff and want to
Yeah.
engage with you about it. So I definitely wanted to mention this specifically, and I also feel cool doing it because she also posted a picture of her book haul and included it, so I know she's cool with letting people know that
Yeah.
that this happened. But yeah, I wanted to make sure I gave her a shout out as well.
Well deserved. I wish I had been able to talk to her longer. I can't remember who I was with at the time, but
Yeah, I think you might have been talking to Tim or
maybe.
somebody similar at the time she came to the table, because you were like fully engaged with somebody else when we talked.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely cool to have her stop by, and definitely cool of her to post the book haul, and again Brandon doing the same. That's always super helpful and super appreciated when people do book hauls and stuff like that on social media. It's always a nice little fun thing to see go by on the feed.
Yeah. Well, we sure met a lot of people, a lot of nice people.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. In fact, let's just dive in and do a few more spotlights here. Some of the other people we got to meet and hang out with.
Sounds good.
You wanna do this next one?
Sure. Holly Cornetta. Got to meet with her. Actually, she was sharing a table with Erie River with Michelle. And I managed to get a book, We Haunt These Woods, from Holly. And she came by and took a picture with us as well. So very nice.
Really like
especially
the cover of that book. It's a really, really sharp cover, I think.
Yeah, especially when you're dealing with people that were actually in the dealer's room, for them to take the time, to come by the booth, because of course they're all hawking their wares as well. I mean, as we're well aware, you're busy half the time answering questions and talking with people. So, she took the time to come by and managed to get a signed copy of that. So now I have my very own copy of We Haunt These Woods.
Yeah, excellent. Well, we had another frequent visitor, actually. I think he stopped by a few times, which was Eric J.
Gennard.
Gennard.
Yeah.
Gennard.
I'm pretty sure it's Gennard. Yeah.
Yes. I'm gonna rely on you for that one because I know you specifically looked it up.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to get the name say it incorrectly. I'm pretty sure I got it right, but Eric's a great guy. He does the many things, but to me, sort of a place in my heart is he does the horror library anthologies. So
yeah, you were actually in some of those, some of the early ones.
Yeah, when it was first starting out. So I got sort of, I guess, what do you call it? Cut my teeth in in those days with the horror library, because I was still doing more sort of film stuff back then, but I was tiring of a lot of the BS that you have to put up with. So I thought I should just write for myself and just write my stuff, and tried doing that. But anyways, got a story in there and actually made it into one of their best of anthologies. So it was great. But yeah, I seem to bump into Eric quite a bit. And of course, there's so much sort of mixing and matching. When he would be standing with somebody, that I'd see or wanted to see. So I always felt bad sometimes because it's like, oh, I was looking for so and so for so long, and they're talking to Eric, and I always felt like I was butting in. So I ended up bumping in there and talking with Eric a lot. But anyways, it's a small world after all.
Indeed. Well, going back to Horror Library for a second, we definitely want to mention that Volume 8 of that just came out on July 25th.
Yeah.
So
that's, get yourself a copy of that.
Yeah, that's hot off the presses, so to speak. Yeah. So definitely be sure to check that out.
I believe Eric actually won a Shirley Jackson award for an anthology.
Oh yeah, nice.
I believe so.
Nice.
So kudos to Eric. Once again, one of the nicest guys.
Yeah, he definitely was super cool and definitely like super easy to talk to for sure. So that's always nice. When you talk to someone and you feel like you have that sense of like they're talking to you as if you had been talking to them for years.
Yeah.
That's always nice for putting folks at ease when you first meet, I feel like. But I did want to also mention, we talked about Regina being at the table or the Wallace booth to our right, but at the Wallace booth to our left, we had a visitor who stopped by who was Edward J. Flora with his book, The Triangle Forest. So that was pretty cool. It's always nice when you can interact with like the people who are in close proximity to you. Because I know like this is another thing I think that differentiated StokerCon from like other conventions that I've been to. Because like I've been to like the Game Developers Conference and like other big conventions. And usually it's like you're in the trenches, right? Like you're not even going to look at the people next to you, much less have a pleasant conversation with them. But like it was just funny and kind of cool just how much we got to talk to pretty much everyone else in the dealer's room at one point in time or another through various circumstances. So this was another cool example of that, I thought.
So check out The Triangle Forest. I think it's his newest release because he had another book and I can't think of what it was on his table. But I know The Triangle Forest, new one.
Yeah, I know that was the one he was kind of really more pushing was the Triangle Forest, which I think is why he brought it for the picture. But not his first time at bat. So that's good to note. But that kind of leads us to another noteworthy encounter that we had. And this is kind of a big one, right? Because we had a couple of the co-chairs for StokerCon Pittsburgh stop by. Talk a little bit about
Tatlinger and Michael Arnzen.
Yeah.
Yep. They kept the whole thing running smoothly. Or as smoothly as something as crazy as StokerCon can be.
Yep. Absolutely. So, definitely want to shout out a couple of their books too. Sarah's obviously really well known for The Devil's Dreamland. And I think one of Mike's more recent books is actually a writing book called Instigate. Words are hard.
Yeah. And it doesn't even have a B.
Yeah, it didn't even have a B in it. I don't even know why I had trouble with that one. Instigation, Creative Prompts, and the Dark Side. So definitely want to make sure folks are aware of those and check them out. And of course, as we mentioned last time, Mike was definitely around quite a bit throughout the weekend, kind of checking up on us and making sure we had everything we needed for our Wallace booth.
Yeah.
And that was super cool, and
Yeah.
very cool to see both of them in person and get the picture and whatnot. So
Yeah.
I'd
Well,
say
once
that
again, you can
definitely,
imagine how busy they must have been. And how
yes,
many they
yes,
must have been being pulled a million different ways. And we're like, well, Sarah and Michael, how would you like to come and take a picture at our booth? But they were
yes,
both very nice about it, and came by, took the picture, and
yes.
big shout out to them. We appreciate all the work you did. Put on a great show in Pittsburgh.
Mhm.
And thanks for everything, for making
Yes,
a small town Canadian boy having a pleasant time.
excellent,
There
excellent.
you
Yes,
go.
for sure. Definitely a noteworthy encounter, if
Yeah.
ever there was one. Uh, so I think that is going to lead us into our final set of spotlights for this episode. And I think we got some quality ones for you here. So let's kick things off with Rebecca Rowland.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I thought this. Well, you have this snazzy picture where
Yes.
you're kind of hanging out with her. So I thought you would want to, because I'm not in this picture.
After I pushed you down, after you
Yeah,
getting
after you
revenge
pushed
for
me
when you
down
pushed
and
me
made
down.
me
Yeah.
cry and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
she was editor for American Cannibal. Once again, someone that I reached out to before StokerCon, and I was, I want this anthology. I wanted it, a signed copy of it, and showing how great the horror community is. She came through for me. Got a copy of the book, signed it for me. One of my, prized possessions from StokerCon, along with so many others.
Yep.
But Rebecca, another just super nice person. Got to chat for a while, but she had a lot going on as well. I think she was in a bunch of panels, and she was in the mass signing too, which was making me kind of nervous, because I was thinking, well, they're like just selling all their books, I'm going to miss out on another one that I want. So, because when you get the signed one, that's it's different.
Yeah.
But if you can, get them all out earlier, there might not be any left, but she dropped by. So big thanks to Rebecca for holding on
You
to
got
one
the
for me.
hookup.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. So if you don't have American Cannibal yet, best rush out and get it.
Yeah, it's funny because I had seen a bunch. I'd seen that book pop up a bunch on social media in the months leading up to StokerCon, but I feel like I've seen it even more since then. It's
Yeah.
it's
Well,
funny
the
how
cover's so cool.
yeah, it's really striking.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
and so are the stories.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Nice.
So big shout out to Rebecca.
Yes, absolutely. So next up at bat, we have another heavy hitter here with Mr. Jeff Strand, who you also got a book from, as I recall.
His new book too, Veiled. Another one that I thought I might miss out on, but got a signed copy of Veiled by Jeff, and he was once again gracious enough to come by, take a picture with us. Yeah. So I should have actually got Lynn to come by, had Lynn, Jeff, and us. I'll take a picture.
But
But
I can Photoshop that. It'll be
there you
perfect.
go.
Nobody will notice anything. It'll just be as if that actually happened.
Yeah. But this way, they each got their own picture.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
They should get their own picture. They shouldn't always have to be in the picture together. That's like, let them have their own
moment
picture
on their own. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
Totally.
Veiled. Haven't cracked that one yet. That's another problem too, is when you get, a signed copy.
Mhm.
So it's like,
there's the whole like, do I actually want to risk damaging this aspect to having the signed copies? Yes.
I'll just buy, get the ebook and read that.
Yeah, nice.
But I'll open it, just kind of read the inscription, then close it and put it back in. So
nice.
But yeah, it's nice.
Yeah.
So so big thanks to Jeff for coming taking a picture with us.
Yep, right on.
And get your copy of Veiled, or many. He's got piles of books to choose from.
Oh yes, many options. I'm actually seriously considering that novelization. Oh, I know we've talked about it before on the show. That novelization he just did of Attack of the Killer Tomatoes is dangerously close to making its way onto my TBR at this point. Because that just pushes my buttons when it comes to like old school, just cheesy horror movie vibes.
Well, you can't go wrong with Jeff Strand.
Indeed. So somebody else you cannot go wrong with is our last spotlight for this time around, Candice Nola, who was very kind to stop by the booth, and she is holding here, I believe in this picture, another book we've talked about on the show previously, which is Bishop. And actually, we had a little bit of a conversation when she was at the Wallace booth, and she had mentioned to me that I need to get on the ball and read Bishop, because now there's already the second book, Bishop, Man vs. Monster, which she co-wrote with M. Ennenbach. See, there's a B in it, so I had to think about it for a second. Ennenbach, I believe is correct. And and apparently there may even be a third book at some point in the works. So I really need to chop, make this happen. But it was super cool getting to meet her in person, especially having interacted with her a little bit on social media and whatnot. So that was definitely a cool, fun moment for sure.
Yeah, well, Bishop is a real ride. I love the book. It was really cool. The characters were great. Sort of the mythos behind it was really good. So yeah, so if you haven't picked up Bishop, you really should. And she's just like the nicest person ever.
Yes, indubitably.
Yeah. I think though she runs on a different time clock than everyone else, because I think she literally seems to be going like 32 hours a day.
Yeah. There is no stopping her at all. Yeah. She's just relentless. She's just like going around. Because you said you ran into her in a few different circumstances, right? Because whenever we mentioned it in the last episode, when you went down to hang out with everybody after the Stoker Awards, she was still kind of buzzing around, doing stuff. Even as late into the night as that was.
Came by the booth, and then I went to see her afterwards, but it's like she was busy doing here, or then she was over there, then she was behind like the that sort of sign-in table, working that. And so every time I wanted to talk to her, she seemed to be busy doing something, but we did manage to catch up a few times. So
I mean, she may have just mastered teleportation. That may be possible, but
if you can add extra hours, why not do that too?
Yeah.
Hardest working person in the horror genre. I can't remember what they said. Elvis was the hardest working. What did they say? Or was it no? It was hardest working rock band. Well, whatever. I can't think of what it was. I was going to do a play on that, but I couldn't get that one right. So
you got to remember the original thing before you try to play off it. See, that was you went to step 2, but you didn't quite manage step 1.
Mastered the first one. Yeah, I think it was James Brown actually.
Yeah, hardest working man in showbiz.
That's what it was.
Going for.
Yes.
Yes.
So, Candice.
Yeah.
Hardest working author in horror, but
nice.
She's very busy and really nice, and appreciate her taking the time to come by, the table.
Right on.
Because it's not a booth.
Right. It is. I mean, I was fully embracing the whole Wallace booth paradigm, but if you want to let that go, that's cool. We can go back to table. I'm cool with that.
Very nice table with a very cool banner.
Oh, yes. I was very pleased with how that turned out. I was obsessing over the design of that for many weeks leading up to the convention. So I'm glad it worked out as well as it did.
Yeah, well, doing a twirl around the dealer's room, because we were at one end of the hall. So when you come around the corner and you're looking down the hall, it was just, there was that banner right there in front of you, So.
Yeah, I thought it showed really well. in the context of the room. I felt like it popped really nicely. So yeah, like I said, I was very, very pleased with the outcome of that. But glad everybody liked it. Glad you noticed, because it was a pain in the butt to make.
Well worth it. So I'm sure you probably have it pinned on your wall now.
Actually, I have not unfurled it since the
Oh,
event. It's still
really?
it was still currently chilling in a corner of my office.
You should put it in your front yard.
Yeah, I'm sure the
Or-
neighbors would enjoy that. Maybe
right
for
at the
Halloween.
end, on the road, right by the road at the edge. So when anyone drives by would see it.
Yeah. I think the HOA might have something to say about that, but yeah, we'll see.
All right. Just throwing ideas out there.
Yeah, no, that's good. You gotta throw them out there and see what sticks, right? But speaking of throwing stuff out there, let's talk about our last noteworthy encounter. And this is again someone that we kind of teased in the previous episode, which was Chris and Jason from Little Ghosts Bookstore stopped by and took what I would argue, and people may want to fight me in the street over this, but I will argue that this is maybe the coolest selfie of StokerCon.
Yeah. He has a way of taking good pics. I mean, I have a set of pictures of me trying to do it in a mirror, and apparently I'm totally inept at doing that. But Chris did a great job. And I spoke with Jason a bit about writing and his stint with movies. So it was nice. I think we talked about. Did we talk about He Never Died?
Yeah, I don't think we've ever actually talked about He Never Died on the show here,
We'll have
but
to do that
I'm
on an episode.
definitely intrigued to check that out, especially like with the whole Henry Rollins connection.
Yeah.
That just seems like that would be an interesting film to see, just to see him in action.
But they were both very nice to take the time to drop by and take a picture with us and just say hi.
Yeah, I guess we should mention too, with regard to He Never Died, in case people don't already know, Jason actually directed that film
and wrote it.
Yeah. Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
So that's pretty the double whammy there. Yeah.
And Chris runs a little ghost bookstore where, when we were talking earlier, where Tim and I were, actually Andrew was there as well.
Yeah, we talked about that in episode 12. We had a little reference to that event because you were about to go to that event when we recorded episode 12. But yeah, that's a
great bookstore.
Cool.
Really supports the independent, indie horror writers.
Their book box that they do is very cool and popular too, from what I understand. A lot of people seem to really enjoy getting that every month. Yeah.
So big shout out to Chris and Jason.
For sure.
Yeah.
But having said all of that, I think that is actually going to bring us to the end of all of our StokerCon coverage, because I think we've finally actually managed to talk about just about everything we have pictures of and photographic evidence of. Yeah.
But it was a good time overall.
Yeah. I was going to say, I will say that there is a little bit of extra stuff. So stick around to the end of the show here, because I got a little bit of extra montage here for you of the extra stuff we didn't get to use in the rest of the episodes. But StokerCon was amazing. We talked about it previously, just how cool it was to actually get together in person and do all that stuff together, and meet all these folks and have all the interactions we did and sell all the books that we did and all of that. So huge thumbs up for StokerCon as an event, I would say.
Right. Well, it was enjoyable taking this trip down memory lane with you.
Yes, and next time we see everybody will be the beginning of our official new season. I guess what we're calling season 2 of the Postmortem Report, where we're going to be making some changes, going to be doing some things, some new things, some old things a little differently. So look forward to that. And I'm not going to tell you anything else about what's going to happen because I want it to be a total surprise.
Yeah. Yep. Should be exciting.
Well, we are going to get out of here. You all have a good time. And I will leave it to Ron to leave you with his closing thought.
I have no closing thoughts.
Excellent. Congratulations. You just survived the Postmortem Report. For more information about the show, the hosts, or the things they talked about, visit our official website at postmortemreport.com. And always remember, good posts never die.
Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Pittsburgh, StokerCon 2023 with Michael and me. Thanks for watching.
Good times.
Once again, something I'll regret.
Do it.
Welcome to Pittsburgh. Home. Oh, crap.
Try that again.
What is it again?
Welcome to Pittsburgh, the city of bridges. Do it.
Welcome to Pittsburgh, the city of bridges.
Pittsburgh,
My
kind
of
town.
We're still in Pittsburgh, but now we're looking at the city. Have a gander.
Do it.
We're still in Pittsburgh. There's nothing but stupid hills. This is the Postmortem Report, live in fuck.
Do it.
We're still in Pittsburgh. There's nothing but hills. Oh, I give up. You go ahead without me. I'm gonna rest here.